So as mentioned, sort of a spoiler section for Heroes Rising. If you haven't seen it or don't really care, welcome. But get out of here if you don't want to hear any spoilers. Scram, scram. But yeah, the biggest thing that was spoilery to me is the ending of this film. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of, and I assume the reason a ton of people are very excited for this is because they loved it, and that's completely fair. But I didn't necessarily love the decision to transfer Deku's All for One to Kachan. I don't know. It just felt sort of hokey, and just the way they sort of dramatized it didn't really feel like something My Hero Academia would have. And that's not to say like you can't stray from what the source material has done in the show or in the manga. But it just felt different, I guess, is how I'll put it. It felt very very emotional, very like sort of forced emotional. And the weirder thing for me that completely like sort of changed the hype for that scene in that final fight versus Nine, because I actually do think that's a really well choreographed fight. I think it's a very well sort of paced fight. Unlike in the first film where it's just sort of like, haha, yeah, One for All was behind it all along, and it's like, oh, all right, I guess. But yeah, no, it sort of felt good. But with that said, it didn't have that banger of a trap. And You Say Run, that I've grown accustomed to, unfortunately. And I get, yeah, like, I don't know, should that be a gripe? But it just felt weird because it seemed like a My Heart Will Go On version of You Say Run. And it just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't hype. Like, that's one of the best songs to ever hit anime fights, and they didn't use it. They didn't use any version of You Say Run. It just, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a new version of You Say Run, but I really wasn't a big fan of it. It was more, I don't know, just the vocals I didn't necessarily love. I'm used to that fast paced action that I think would have made me sort of forget, like, okay, Kachan's got All for One, whatever. That's forget that for now. But it just would have made me forget that, and just been sort of encapsulated in that fighting, and I would have loved this film a whole lot more. And I just think with the ending, where All Might's, oh no, you lost the power, Deku, and he's like, oh, what did All for One do? And he realized, oh, they both have it now, and it's probably never going to be addressed again. I was sort of looking to see if it was canon or not. It's heavily disputed, which is interesting to look up and see. And for me, that's what sort of makes this a little bit lower, because they save something so sort of monumental to be in a movie. And a couple people have said, oh, well, this is the creator's original ending. So maybe what I'm sort of guessing is that it's like, oh, well, I know this series is going to go on for 10 more seasons, and we're probably going to get like a My Hero Academia Shippuden version or whatever. But maybe that's like what they were attempting here, to be like, oh, well, you get what you want, like the ending, and we also get to keep making the series go on. Maybe, but I don't know. It just feels weird. With all that said, the rest of the film is fairly good. I actually really liked it. The weird mummy guy is kind of fun. The hair girl, I think, is pretty OP at the start. She just decimates like a whole shipyard of boats, and I was like, okay, well, like, she's never gonna get that powerful, is she? I thought the Chimera guy, I like what they were trying to do with him. I feel like it wasn't fleshed out enough for him to just go full beast mode, and also I feel like his powers were, I don't know, they were interesting, but it never felt like they were going to sort of beat him in a fair way. They were just like, oh, I distract him and I'll freeze him, which I don't know, it's fine. But that fight, out of all of them, I was like, because he was just like, I'm that strong. And with that said, I honestly, like, could have used a little bit more like tactical fighting. We do get that a little bit with 9 when they're distracting 9, and it's Aruka, not Aruka. I don't know names for a lot of these characters, but it's the initial 3 characters sort of distracting him with the floaty powers and tape powers, and even the sticky powers. They're getting him just distracted, so that way he doesn't get to this child that has the quirk he needs. I like that stuff. I like when there's thought put into a battle, and I just think they didn't really use enough thought, because obviously they put one of the fighters in darkness, and then the character who's powerful with dark, like when surrounded in darkness, makes sense. Obviously there's like a waterfall and they freeze the waterfall, but other than that, the other 2 fights really didn't feel like they used that to its fullest, I guess. But those are the 2 side fights, so it's whatever, because the main attraction is Deku and Kachan versus 9, which, fair. I actually really liked the initial action scene with the villains, with the League of Villains. I thought that was really well done. The action, again, looks tremendous in this. And I'm trying to, just the fun stuff. It's not really a spoiler, but just the fun stuff of helping the city. And like, that's what, heroes do. I feel like is a very, Spider-Man-esque thing that I love to see in film. And that was cool to see. But I don't know if there's any other spoilers. That was basically it. It sort of led to a lackluster conclusion for me. Unfortunately, I want to love this stuff. And I think ultimately, like, that decision to not use, like, a hype track at the end is what made me think, oh, well, the first movie's better because at least we get, like, hype track. It doesn't really make sense. Like, this is a more well thought out film. But, I get that you say run. But that's going to be the spoiler review. Thank you guys for listening. Check out any other spoiler stuff. And if you're a My Hero Academia fan or just a fan of anime, we have a couple anime reviews. Eventually, I'm going to get to My Hero Academia Season 4 when it's concluded. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys. And if you have any thoughts on this film, whether it's canon or not, feel free to voice that down below. Bye.